Well, Dave, in terms of performances, where does that rank up in Durham Wildcats' brief time in the BBL?
Well, I think, we had a really, really good spell against the Eagles when they beat us a few weeks ago, and a really good spell against some other teams, Worcester in particular, but we never did it for 40 minutes. Tonight, okay, we maybe had a little bit of a slippage in the third quarter, but I think overall we played well for 40 minutes.
I mean, it started out with all those three-point shots going in from Brad. He just had one of those amazing games where everything goes in.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of three-point weapons. They don't necessarily connect all the time, but when they do, we're hard to guard because people have to come out, and that gives Keister a little bit of room inside. And, the guy nobody thinks about on our team is Sam Johnson. Nobody ever mentions him, but this kid has only been playing for 3 years. He's going to be a tremendous player in the longer term.
And it's one of those things, I named Brad there, I could have named a whole host of guys. Bucci was tremendous, Keister in on the rebounds, Page attacked the basket really well, and a huge number of assists for your guys. That must really please you.
That's what's really been pleasing me in the last few games. We've had 22, 25, 26, and if you move the ball like we did tonight, sometimes we haven't always taken care of it as well as we could, but tonight we pretty much took care of it. But I'm just so proud of the guys.
And offensively, 98 points on the board, proving you can put big numbers up.
Yeah, that's our third or fourth 90 of the year. We've hit the ton once. I think that's something, we have to do. Obviously, defense is always going to be important, but if we can become a scoring threat, that makes it difficult for the other team to do sort of the things they've been taking us out of our game with.
Well, Gavin, I know you'll be disappointed with that, but sometimes you run into a team that's just red hot.
Well, they were red hot, but at the same time, I don't think I've seen a Plymouth Raiders team play worse ever. But the Durham Wildcats were fantastic. I mean, they were great. They were well prepared. They executed their game plan. They shot the absolute lights out. My goodness, they did a fantastic job. But I'm very disappointed with my players tonight. I mean, it's the first time I'll ever say that my players just didn't bring it. They weren't ready, mentally focused to go. You can see that from the tip-off, to be completely honest with you. We didn't execute at all. Our defense was just horrible. But give all credit to the Durham Wildcats. Wow, they were hot as a pistol, yeah.
Yeah, where did you think it went wrong? You guys, first couple of minutes started out really hot, started well, and then they just came back in.
We just got guys that relaxed. They took we had a few. We started really well, and then guys started doing uncatcher's thing, dribbling the ball too much. I mean, our hard head, defending the pick and roll was a joke. We've been great at that all season. A lack of energy, a lack of enthusiasm, and it's a complete turnaround from last week. I was exceptionally happy with our performance last week, and to come here and play like that in front of the crowd, in front of the cameras, was quite frankly annoying to say the least. I'm very disappointed in my players' attitudes this evening, and it's been fantastic for the last month or so. Yeah, we had a few new guys back. Did that hurt us? Maybe upset the chemistry a little bit, and it's one of those things, unfortunately, very disappointing, but congratulations to Wildcats. They did a great job.
Well, Jamie, if we look back over this game, really an excellent display from the Wildcats. Started in that first quarter with all those three-pointers.
Yeah, it was an excellent shooting display from the Wildcats. Especially Raguanani, who's he shot the ball as well as I've seen an individual shoot the ball here in the last couple of seasons for sure.
And sometimes you get a performance like that, a standout performance, but actually it was only just a little bit better than the rest of his team, because we saw the likes of Page attacking the basket really well, Bucci, smart, veteran savvy.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned, during the game, that they had guys that play to their strengths. They did what they do well. Keister rebounding the ball, was exceptional under the basket, caused Raiders a lot of problems defensively. Keith Page, really impressive display from a young British point guard, getting to the basket at will, and obviously the veteran savvy of Ralph Bucci, who just ran the show basically.
Yeah, and Gavin very unhappy with his team at the end. Were there any positives you could see for the Raiders?
Not too many, if I'm honest. I think that was, Gavin mentioned about, it was one of the worst displays that he's seen from a Plymouth Raiders team, especially during his coaching tenure. I think that, the fact that, the Raiders have now got guys back. It was great seeing Mike Ojo being out there after, what was a pretty serious injury. So that's obviously a positive you can take. But like I said, it's back to the drawing board, and only a couple of 48 hours to wait until they get a chance to redeem themselves.
Yeah, they'll definitely want to get back out on the court and get this one out of the way. But tonight has been all about the Durham Wildcats. Well, we've seen the action here in Plymouth. Let's take a look at what happened when the Worcester Wolves hosted the Surrey Heat on Friday night.
Worcester Wolves looking to keep the pressure on the top four against the Heat side, hoping to bounce back from double disappointment last weekend. Home side off to a great start with Carlos Fernandez and Stana City helping them into a 15-4 lead. Sam Cricelli kept the Heat in touch with 9 first quarter points, and it was a 6-point game going into the second. Heat netted 8 straight to tie the game at 21-21 and bagged the last 7 points of the half to lead 45-38 at the interval. Chavez Holmes stretched the Surrey lead to 10 early in the third, but a run of 14 points to 3 by the Wolves had them back ahead with 6 minutes to play. The visitors were back in front with less than 2 minutes to play before 4 foul shots from Worcester had them 83-80 ahead, but Sam Cricelli hit an overtime-forcing 3-pointer on the buzzer against his old team. Having got themselves into the extra period, the Heat took full advantage, scoring 8 of the first 9 points to lead 91-84. Kai Williams cut the gap back to a couple of points, but the Heat made sure from the free throw line down the stretch. Final score, Worcester Wolves 91, Surrey Heat 97 after overtime. Roundup of all the action this weekend then. Whilst we were watching Durham win, Newcastle crushed the Tigers, Surrey enjoyed an impressive comeback to win by 6 in overtime at Worcester. More overtime excitement in Sheffield, this time in the BBL Trophy, as the Sharks hit the last 6 points of regulation to force the extra period and claimed another semi-final berth with an 84-81 success. More misery for Mersey on Sunday, beaten by the Raiders, whilst Durham capped a great weekend with victory in Cheshire. Mike Baldarelli with 6 3-pointers this time around in their 94-82 success. Here's the league table then. Newcastle moved clear of Leicester, who had the weekend off. Surrey closed the gap and they're 2 points ahead of Plymouth. Glasgow stay in 5th thanks to Worcester's loss, whilst it's really bunched up behind them in that race for the last 2 playoff berths. Durham, the big movers, 2 wins takes them up to joint 9th, but only 2 points and 2 defeats separate 5 teams down there. It's going to be some race for those playoff places.
Great victory for Durham down here in Plymouth, and next week we're at the other end of the country. We're in Glasgow, where Sterling Davis's Rocks will play host to the Cheshire Phoenix. That's Glasgow Rocks versus Cheshire Phoenix, Tuesday 5th of February, Sky Sports 3 at 8 p.m. Hope you enjoyed tonight's action. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.